Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
I don't consider myself a conspiracy buff at all, but when they get a lot of coincidences, I get a little suspicious and call me crazy.
Polls, weird talk shows, crazy groups every Sunday telling you what you think.
The Republicans and the Democrats conspire with one another, which they do.
There is a conspiracy by big business against American democracy.
We know that there was a conspiracy.
There was a conspiracy.
There was no conspiracy.
Was there a conspiracy?
It's a communist conspiracy directed out of Moscow.
The right-wing conspiracy.
Communist conspiracy is a deliberate and predictable plan of action to subvert the world.
Right-wing conspiracy.
International criminal conspiracy.
Vast right-wing conspiracy.
Great conspiracy.
There are all these conspiracy theories.
Was there a conspiracy? I don't know.
Perhaps themselves even involved in the conspiracy.
There was a conspiracy.
No evidence
of a conspiracy.
Anybody would have to be a fool nowadays to dismiss conspiracies.
Conspiracy theory.
Cockeyed conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theory exists because there really is conspiracy.
But they never told a soul about it. In fact, they engaged in a vast conspiracy.
Since you get accused of being a conspiracy theorist, of being a paranoid.
The historical context of actual conspiracy.
A conspiracy of bad people.
As always happens at some point in a conspiracy. One night, Cousin Eddie got drunk in a honky-tonk and spilled the beans.
There was a conspiracy, and government was involved in it.
Conspiracy existing within the United States government.
There was a conspiracy.
A
Conspiracy by the CIA.
The conspiracy of a few.
Dark, secretive, conspiratorial, evil.
Then it was certainly a deliberate conspiracy.
High-level conspiracy.
The do's and the don'ts and the rights and the wrongs of the various conspiracy theories that are good.
Possibility of a conspiracy.
In a moral sense, I think it was a conspiracy.
One conspiracy, that's all I'm talking about.
Full of speculation, conspiracy theories, and the like.
And what's going on here?
You began to wonder what was really happening in America. I mean, was there a vast conspiracy afoot?
You know, there could have been a conspiracy.
Do you think you're obsessed with conspiracy?
Conspiracy theory.
A conspiracy.
I'm afraid you'll catch me. I'm afraid you'll catch me.
A conspiracy would do the job nicely.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Baseless Conspiracies. Zach, how are you doing this evening?
John, I'm doing so well, having a great day, and just looking forward to tonight's show. We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I'm having a great day too. Probably having a better day than most Venezuelans.
Well, you know, I mean, certainly there is a portion of the country which are having a bad day. But I think that after everything they've been through for the last several decades, the ones that are rising up, I mean, like what they're experiencing is like undoubtedly it's better than what they've been through. Right.
Yeah, I didn't mean to make light of the situation. Yeah. It appears there are reports of like people dying, being shot. For those who aren't aware, Venezuela had an election. It was Maduro versus I can't remember who the candidate ended up being because they blocked like 3 other people.
Yeah, the opposition doesn't really matter because they weren't going to let them win anyway.
But it looked like it was going to be a massive upset with the opposition beating Maduro.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, it's like they copied the 2020 playbook. Mm-hmm. They stopped counting. All of a sudden, the military came out and like prevented people from even getting to these polling places.
Yep.
Now we're at a point where it's pretty obvious Maduro lost, but they're trying to say that he won. And it's like on the brink of civil war over there. And some of the reports coming out, if what is being said is true, it's pretty nuts right now. But Maduro might be out of there at this point.
I mean, from what I understand, I mean, I sent you over a bunch of videos. I don't know if you've got access to pull them up, but I mean, at least one of them showed just hundreds, if not thousands of people busting through the line to raid the presidential palace. And I mean, talk about an upset, dude. Like the exit polling showed literally 2/3 of the people who were voting for the opposition and against Maduro. And it's so obvious that he was going to lose. He pulled that DNC playbook. Isn't that ironic that like the Democrats took the Venezuelan playbook by bringing the voting machines up north, and then Maduro takes the DNC playbook, stops the count in the election, tells everybody that, oh, you know, in the interest of democracy, we're going to go ahead and just call it. and he publicly announces that he's won, and that's it. I mean, it's, you know, he's got the complete control of the media. He's got control of the military. He's got control of everything.
He's a dictator.
Yes, he's a dictator.
Emphasis on the dick right now, being a real dick about this whole election thing. But pretty crazy. I'm very curious to see how the current administration, if you can even call it that, like Joe Biden and whoever's handling him right now, how they handle this and approach this. Was it their last election 2019?
You know, honestly, I don't remember when it was. It's not like a normal election cycle like we have here. Like it is a little bit longer, so it may have been. But okay. Tony Blinken already gave a public comment. He said, you know, that essentially Maduro was destroying democracy in Venezuela, which is laughable considering what we had here, what we've had here for many elections. And the idea that Maduro or Venezuelans have known anything remotely close to democratic and free elections, I mean, that is also laughable.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with what we're about to see in 2024, if we even have an election, I've said this a few times now, I'm becoming more and more accepting of the fact that we're probably not even going to have one. They're going to do some shenanigans to prevent us from having an election. But if we do, it's going to be worse than 2020. It's going to be worse than what just happened here in Venezuela. But this is the proper approach, in my opinion, to your government overthrowing the will of the people. That's what they did here. Trump prevented this type of situation from happening, in my opinion, by walking away, implementing devolution. But this is the proper response.
Yeah.
Take to the streets and peacefully, patriotically, FBI handlers watching. I do not wish violence upon anybody, but yeah, we can't let this type of shit happen.
No.
Good for Venezuela.
So, I mean, I got to be honest. I think that this is the kind of thing that we're going to see if they go through with another steal in November, because there's just no way. I sent you over another video, too, of a recent fundraiser that Kamala Harris had in Deep Blue, Illinois, which, you know.
See if I can find it, because there's a few. I think it was this one. No, not this one. Well, here, this is another one we can watch while we're waiting.
Okay.
This is, so this Won't Pack Down is a real Kamala Harris fundraising pack. Okay. And this is their video.
Us MAGA Republicans banned abortion, but that's just the start.
That's just the start. If Trump gets elected, we want the government involved in all aspects of your sex life.
Way more involved.
Way more involved.
When you have sexual intercourse, it should be illegal to use contraception. No pills, no condoms.
Your genitals are reserved for procreation.
If you freeze 12 eggs, you should be required to have 12 babies, or else you're a serial killer. And I'm definitely not a serial killer.
Are you?
My son monitors my porn usage to make sure I'm not self-pleasuring.
Just like Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. That's true. You can look it up.
Don't you think that's normal?
Yeah, I do.
It's normal for your son to do that.
You should have a family member monitor your porn use too.
Because pleasuring yourself is very, very naughty.
I'm voting in November.
I'm voting in November. We're all voting in November. Are you?
Because what happens in your bedroom is up to me.
Is up to me and my son. Also, mouth stuff is a sin.
I couldn't believe that when I saw it. I mean, first of all, I think it also gives a real bad name to gay dudes, because they just had to pick like the creepiest, just the nastiest gay dudes that they possibly could. And it's really, 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 really unfortunate.
I mean, technically that's not paid for or, you know, whatever, supported or whatever by Kamala. Like Kamala didn't endorse that ad, but those are the people voting for it. It's just so weird. Did you see the White Dudes for Harris had a call today?
I saw a meme about White Dudes for Harris, and I saw a video about White Women for Harris, which is it that wasn't the title of it, but it was like white female influencers talk about how they need to step aside for BIPOC voices, and there wasn't a single black voice on the call. The irony was thick.
I gotta
yes, you guys, that's a real ad. Like, that's not made by Kamala Harris, but it's made by people supporting Kamala Harris who literally want you to see that video and think that's representative of America First MAGA Republicans. But obviously you're looking at it and you're like, these are not my people. like that. I don't identify with this at all. And I don't even think that the people who would support Kamala Harris are going to look at it and resonate with it.
Yeah, I got a clip here from the White Dudes for Harris. We're probably going to lose a bunch of viewers after this. Yeah, at least any of the people are easily offended. But
here at the time border trying to get national attention. These unemployed men have been having sex for several days. Joining me now is their spokesperson, Randy Marsh. Mr. Marsh, what exactly are you trying to accomplish? We're doing the only thing we can do. If our government is just going to let anybody into our time who wants to come, then we have to take matters into our own hands. Present day America, #1. Yeah, America! Dig our jobs! Here.
I don't even get it. What?
A bunch of, it was just all gay dudes on the call for Kamala.
Clearly.
Have you ever seen that episode of South Park?
No, I never have. South Park has been on for like 30 years. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times, and I've seen the movie. That's my extent of my knowledge of South Park.
I haven't even seen the movie. I used to watch it back when I was younger. I haven't seen any of the recent episodes, but in that episode, people were coming back in time from the future.
Yeah.
And the people of South Park were sick of the people coming from the future. And so they decided to just start having gay sex to stop the procreation, so that the people from the future would no longer exist, to come back in time.
Okay. All right.
Real dumb. Anyway,
Yeah,
I understand. I apologize,
I
everybody.
understand the rationale, kind of. But yeah, yeah.
Okay, here's the this is the other video you sent over.
This is how legends are made.
It's a real fundraiser for Kamala.
Oh God.
What's kind of sad about this, though, is like you look at the age of the people running this. These were people who 30, 40 years ago, as Democrats, when they grew up identifying as Democrats, today they would be Republicans.
Yes.
Like the stuff that they believed in 30, 40 years ago as Democrats would probably be like the Liberal Party, the Kamala Harris of Democrats has gone so far left that these guys should be voting Republican.
They really should. I mean, they're lying to themselves if they think that by identifying as progressives, that's going to do anything for them.
Yeah. Okay. And I got one more video that you sent over, and I love this video.
Okay.
This is this is the new messaging. Do you remember those videos where everybody's like a threat to our democracy, and like everybody in unison keeps going through?
Yes.
Danger to our
fake news is taking over the airwaves.
Yeah. This is another on that same thread there.
Are saying, well, it's just plain weird.
These guys are just weird. That's where they are.
As weird and creepy as J.D. Vance.
Super weird idea from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's quite weird. They're just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
That stuff is weird. They come across weird, and then they start being weird. Yeah, they're weird.
Being a really weird.
He's such a weirdo.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate are weird. Deeply and profoundly weird. They are weird.
These Republicans just being weird. It's just weird. It's really weird.
Republican weirdness goes even deeper.
He said a lot of things that are weird, a weird style that he brings, weird policies. Let's start with the weird thing, because it is a thing.
Just plain weird.
What was weird was talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew?
You ever seen the guy laugh? That seems very weird to me that that an adult can go through 6.5 years of being in the public eye. If he has laughed, it's at someone, not with someone. That is weird behavior.
Weird and cultish.
These are weird people on the other side.
He kind of doubled down on his weird ideas.
I think weird is probably generous.
Simply weird.
These guys are just plain weird.
Vance as weird.
You know, as the campaign said, weird.
It really is just plain weird.
J.D. Vance, plain weird.
I mean, I don't know how else you could read it.
Weird. It is kind of weird.
We're not afraid of weird people.
The other side, they're just weird.
Why are you being so weird?
Vance has done something more extreme, more weird.
No matter what kind of weird stuff they keep saying.
Trump and Vance are just weird, in addition to being dangerous to democracy.
It's the weird part that's the most engaging.
Whom he addressed as my beautiful Christians, which was super weird.
Weird tech bro, J.D. Vance.
He's a weird guy. J.D. Vance, uneasy and sort of weird.
Frankly, for lack of a better word, that he's weird.
Sarcastic remarks that aren't even funny, and he kind of shows that he can't really deliver a one-liner.
So, Sam, weird is the word here in terms of initial impressions from Vance to the American public.
Wow. Says the people who want to give their children puberty blockers and allow them to cut their genitals off before they reach the age of 18. Okay, that's so weird. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me never want to say the word weird again. Like,
No.
if anything.
Well, I mean, like when it's organic, it makes sense. I mean, the truth is that this is just another example of projection. Okay, I mean, they're the weirdos. Every single policy stance that they have is weird because it's antithetical to happiness. It's antithetical to the future of America. It quite literally is working to undermine and destroy every aspect of this country that makes anybody want to move here. That's weird. Okay, stealing an election and putting a dementia patient in the White House. That's weird. Okay. Not JD Vance laughing or calling people crazy cat ladies. They are. These are the same women who, 15 years ago, rather than having children, they decided to have a career, be boss bitches. And now that they're in their mid 40s and they can't find a boyfriend or a husband and they're lonely, that's weird.
It's also weird that, like, while they're accusing JD Vance of being weird, they're also like hanging out with dudes wearing dresses.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's weird.
If I were to define weird, that's weird to me. But whatever. But the new talking point is out. I'm wondering what the next one is going to be, like bizarre or something. Unusual. So stupid.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, this is remember this dude? Did he still keep his job after getting arrested?
Oh no. They definitely fired him. And I would say that he's probably working at like a strip club in like Passaic, New Jersey or something like that. I don't know if they have clubs like that there, but I was just trying to think of some place as far removed from DC as I could.
Yeah. Here's some more pictures.
Like,
accusing JD Vance of being weird. Like, I think 50% of these, at least this in the middle, Levine, employee.
Yes.
The one on the bottom left, was an employee. The one on the bottom right was an employee.
Oh my God.
Dylan Mulvaney.
That one in the bottom middle, that's a beautiful Democrat woman.
Oh my God. All right.
Oh God.
Real quick, I almost forgot. We should probably get to our sponsor tonight's show. Unless you have anything else you want to talk about. Otherwise, after that, we can get into our primary topic tonight, which I did a post because we weren't sure what we were going to discuss, asking for some ideas, and we had a tremendous amount of feedback. We got lots of topics for the next few months. So thank you guys for that. But anything else you want to discuss before we get into the main topic?
Nothing that I can think. I want to be very clear that nothing against New Jersey. I was just trying to think of something outside the Beltway, right? You've got the DC area, metro area, you've got the Beltway, and then you've got outside the Beltway. Like maybe like outside DC, but close enough that he could still like wake up every morning and think, maybe I can get a job in DC still. Because obviously he wants to have access. There's plenty of gay sex happening in DC. So,
well, if you don't want to offend Jersey, I will, because everything that you tell me off air about Jersey, it sounds like a terrible place.
and the only thing I know about Jersey is what Brad says, and he's had nothing but glowing reviews. And obviously, since Donald Trump went to New Jersey and they went crazy for him, I think the people of Jersey are great.
Guys, we're joking about Jersey. We're going to make fun of places. You guys make fun of Bismarck and North Dakota all the time. So let's
let's not even start with Florida. I mean, Florida man, everybody knows that meme.
Yeah.
We got plenty of those people here in my town too.
Dude, it hailed. Sorry. I was just thinking of Florida and weather and like how awesome it is there. And then I just had a hailstorm earlier. It looked like it was snowing.
Oh, that's cool.
It was crazy. Yeah,
we had a guy. I got a call. Lisa and I got a call 6:30 in the morning on Saturday. And they left us a voicemail about this guy who he was an inmate and he must have like said that something was wrong with him and he had to go to the hospital. And while he was there, he absconded. So listen to this. This happens like quite regularly. We'll get calls from the sheriff's department and then they'll send us a text message. This is an important message from the alert notification system. This message is from the county sheriff's office. We are searching for a male that has escaped Advent Health. gives the address. His name is Anthony Romine, white male, 5'9" tall, approximately 160 pounds, brown hair, blue eyes. He was last seen wearing green scrubs and navy blue shorts, probably wearing Crocs as well. Male runs with a distinct limp. It says limp, but they sent lymph, and has a crown tattoo on the side of his neck. Anthony was being held at Advent for medical clearance and was originally arrested for a felony petty theft warrant. If you want to see, if you, I don't remember I can't read what it says. It gets really weird. But anyways.
This is from the police?
This is from the county sheriff. Yes. He went in for petty theft. He probably would have been out in a couple of days. All right. Then he absconded, and now he's going to get a fleeing and eluding and maybe something else because he was supposed to be in jail, and he's probably not getting out for a couple of years.
Okay, that's really weird though.
Yeah.
The text misspelling. So guys, let's make fun of Florida. We'll drop the New Jersey. We'll make fun of Florida for a little bit.
I'll take it.
Man.
I'll take it. We can go down to the Everglades and go python hunting.
Is that a euphemism?
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, that would if I said like go to a rest area or something like that and go python hunting, that might be a euphemism. But no, actually in the Everglades we have a python problem, and they are killing our native wildlife, and they breed like rabbits, and it's a perfect area for them. They have no natural predators. The gators don't eat them as far as I've seen, and they are everywhere. Same with iguanas too.
Man, I'm not a big fan of snakes. Like of any shapes or sizes. Hate snakes. Creep me the F out.
I mean,
you don't have legs or arms, and you're still like able to move around that fast. Like that's weird. That is weird.
It's satanic.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are certain snakes that you need. We got like garter snakes, corn snakes, black racers. There's a couple that are actually endangered that live around here. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like black with like an orange triangle on its head. And you're not allowed to kill those. Lisa's always like, kill it. And I'm like, it's eating the bugs. It's
diamondback?
It's not a diamondback. No, it's mostly black with just like an orange spot on its head. And so you've got to have certain snakes around because they kill the pests. I mean, unless you want palmetto bugs, which are just giant cockroaches all over the place, like you're going to need some of these guys. Same with frogs.
I feel like I don't need snakes. Frogs I can live with. Snakes I can do without. I can kill whatever creature they're killing. I feel like technology's at a point where we can like figure out a way to get rid of those species so we don't need the snakes. But that's just me. I know maybe some people like snakes. Actually, I know somebody who is a part of the Badlands team sells snakes for like he goes to snake shows and stuff. But
that's cool.
I won't out him. But anyway, let's get to our sponsor real quick, and then we'll get into the conspiracy tonight. John Titor?
John Titor, time traveler.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
We want to thank Field of Greens and this product, guys. I have this product. Everybody's talking about those weight loss injections because the results are so dramatic. They work by lowering blood sugar and reducing appetite. But what if you need to lose weight and you don't have the money and you don't like weekly shots? That's why doctors created a weight loss supplement called Lean, and the results are remarkable. The studied ingredients in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, burn fat by converting it into energy, and curb your appetite and cravings so you're not as hungry. But listen, Lean is not for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created Lean for frustrated dieters with 10 or more pounds to lose. We can get you started with 15% off and free rush shipping so you can add Lean to your healthy diet and exercise plan. Visit takelean.com and enter promo code BASELESS15 for your 15% discount. That's takelean.com, promo code BASELESS15. And when I first got sent this, it was like a year ago when we first advertised Lean. I did take it for a couple of days and I had to stop because I didn't have the weight to lose. And I could feel it. It's a great product, guys. So check it out. Takelean.com, Baseless15 for the promo code to support this show and Badlands.
You should have sent that out to all of us right before GART so that everybody could get like in tip-top shape before the event.
I didn't want anybody to be in better shape than me. So
nobody's going to be in better shape than you, John. I don't think you've never had an ounce of fat on your body. It looks like.
I've had a few, dude. I got my outfit for GART. I can't wait.
I'm anxious to see it. I actually have a.
It's not as good as yours.
I have I have a couple of different outfits for Gart, and I do have a Western one that I'm going to be wearing on the first day.
Okay.
Did you get like one of those cool Western sport jackets?
Maybe.
Okay.
I
All
can't
right.
spoil it. But the only thing I'm trying to decide, maybe I shouldn't even say, I don't want to spoil it, but maybe I'll spoil it. I can't decide if I should shave everything and just keep the mustache or not.
I was considering doing that, like just having the handlebars.
Yeah, I just can't decide, but
I don't know. I just trimmed it over the weekend, and I if I did it, I would want like a big bushy handlebar.
That's what she said. Yeah,
my dad
I just don't know.
My dad used to grow it like that. We called it his Hulk Hogan mustache.
I have such a bad, like my facial hair. I don't know. I have to. We'll see. It's gonna be gross if I do it. I think. Yeah, whatever. Well,
of course it's gonna be gross. I mean, that never looks good organically. You can only wear it ironically at this.
See, I was gonna say that, but I don't know if there's like some people in the chat who wear mustaches unironically, and I didn't want to offend anybody.
I mean, the people who wear them and like
first New Jersey, now mustache people, you're just like on a roll.
So here's the thing. If wearing a mustache like that does not immediately occur to you as something that's going to look good, it's probably not going to look good. Like you got to have brass balls and know exactly what you want to look like. And the people who wear them, they own them. Okay. And it doesn't look weird. Yeah,
and they star in porn, probably.
Well, or, maybe they just walk in with an iron pipe in their hand and they look like they want to collect. I mean, like somebody who wears a mustache like that, they know it, they're proud of it, and you're not going to question it. But somebody like you and me, we're like, oh, look at my handlebar mustache. And they're like, okay, dork, when are you shaving it off?
Whatever. Anyway, can't wait, guys. Oh, I was going to mention this too. We got our topics or our panels picked out. So if you guys are attending, you're in for a treat as always. But if you're not attending, make sure you guys get your virtual tickets. The panels we're going to be doing is Q Full Circle. And we just got confirmation today. Stormy Joe is going to be able to attend now. We got it sorted out. So looking forward to that. Navigating Post-Fact America, MK Ultra, which is fitting based on the assassination attempt recently, Futurism, and Freedom Cities. If you could build your Freedom City, what would you want in there? I think I would build it around a pickleball court. That would be at the center of my Freedom City.
I got to be honest, when I saw that on like the list of topics, I had no idea like what direction you wanted to take that in. But this is something that Lisa and I talk about quite often. I didn't put that on my list of topics I would want to be on, but if there's room, I guess I would accept that.
Well, maybe if you take the lean product from Brickhouse Nutrition, we can make room for you. I see what I did there. History of the deep state, the sovereign individual, the sovereign world, which is like sovereign alliance, devolution, brick stuff. First principles thinking, federalism versus anti-federalism. And I got word today, we may have our second documentary ready to go. So we might be able to promo that.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah. So in for a treat, guys. Get that virtual ticket, badlandsmedia.tv/events. So yeah. Okay. Anyway.
All right.
John Titor.
John Titor.
I've heard it both ways, but yes.
So let me set the stage for you, John. I want to take you back in time.
All right.
When were you born? What year?
That's classified.
Okay.
But 1990.
1990. Okay. So go back to just before you turned 10 years old. A time.
2000.
I know. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. Okay. So a simpler time before smartphones, before extremely powerful computers, before computers ruled our lives, before social networks, before Facebook or MySpace or Friendster even. A very, very different time for America. Society was a little bit more naive. We were a little bit happier. We felt safer, definitely felt freer. And in general, the atmosphere was completely different. So right around 1998, you ever heard of Art Bell? Do you know Art Bell?
I've heard of Art Bell.
Okay, so Art Bell's radio program was a midnight special. It was must-listen content for a lot of people. And he would go all night. And now the same program is run by a guy named, it was George Noory for a while. and now it's I guess I can't remember his name. I've actually been on the show, and I'm totally blanking on it. But regardless, it still lives on to this day. But at this time, it was all Art Bell, and Art was a living legend. So in 1998, Art got a fax on his fax machine. This was how long ago this was. No emails. Okay, nobody. Yeah, he got a fax. The fax was from a guy who claimed to be an American soldier. And he claimed to have detailed knowledge about time travel. So Art got this fax. He read it on air. We'll actually go through and we're going to read a bunch of John Titor's actual faxes, but I want to set the stage first. So, and then in November of 2000, that same American soldier logged into a message board. It was a time travel message board and kind of general paranormal. And at that point, he identified himself as John Titor. And as he began posting, people put it together that he had been the same guy who sent that fax into Art Bell. Let me actually read the content of that fax real quick. This was July 29th, 1998. Dear Art.
Wait.
What?
Today's July 29th.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I didn't even plan this. This is amazing. This is synchronicity right here, John.
Nuts. Okay.
All right. So, dear Art, I had a fax when I heard the other time travelers calling in from any of the past year, 2500 AD. Please let me explain. Time travel was invented in 2034. Offshoots of certain successful fusion reactor research allowed scientists at CERN to produce the world's first contained singularity engine. The basic design involves rotating singularities inside a magnetic field. By altering the speed and direction of rotation, you can travel both forward and backwards in time. Time itself can be understood in terms of connected lines. When you go back in time, you travel on your original timeline. When you turn your singularity engine off, a new timeline is created due to the fact that you and your time machine are now there. In other words, a new universe is created. So to get back to your original line, you must travel a split second farther back and immediately throw the engine into forward without turning it off. And some interesting outcomes of this are, one, you meet yourself. I've done it often, and I've even taken a younger version of myself along for a few rides before returning myself to the new timeline and then going back to mine. Two, you can alter history in the new universe that you've just created. Most of the time, the changes are subtle. Sometimes I'll notice car models that don't exist or books that come out late. But the oldest one was the skyscraper that wasn't built in a near favorite store of mine in New York. Interestingly, when you travel in time, you must compensate for the orbit of the Earth. Right there, it's going to lose a bunch of people. Since the time machine doesn't move, you have to adjust the engines so you remain on the planet when you turn it off. Unfortunately, it was also discovered that anyone going forward in time from my time, 2036, hit a brick wall in the year 2564. Everyone who has ever been there has reported that nothing exists. When the machine is turned off, you find yourself surrounded by blackness and silence. Now, most time travelers are going to find out where the line went bad by going into the past, creating a new universe, and proceeding forward to see if the same thing results in 2564. It appears that the line went bad around the year 2000. I'm here now in this time to test a few theories of mine before going forward. Now, for the future you might want to know about. 1, Y2K is a disaster. Many obviously that one didn't come true.
Yeah.
Many people die on the highways when they freeze to death trying to get to warmer weather. He's got a whole series of predictions. Some of them
in Y2K.
Well, I mean, not just Y2K, but throughout the many messages he sent and the interactions he had. He even did he basically did questions and answers. Like he was the original Ask Me Anything. But Y2K is one such prediction. And because it didn't come true, you can maybe surmise that his statements about alternate realities and universes could be responsible for that. In the timeline we're living in, we wouldn't know that John Titor had come back and changed anything without him actually posting about it. But perhaps the timeline we were meant to be living in is the one that he mentions, where everything went haywire with Y2K. Number two, another prediction. The government tries to keep power by instituting martial law, but all of it collapses when their efforts to bring power back up fail. 3, a power facility in Denver is able to restart itself, but is mobbed by hundreds of thousands of people and destroyed. This convinces most that maybe we shouldn't bring the old system back up. Number 4, a few years later, communal government system is developed after the Constitution takes a few twists. China retakes Taiwan. Israel wins their largest battle for their life, and Russia is covered in nuclear snow from their collapsed reactors. Art, the reason I'm here now is because I believe a nuclear weapon set off by Iraq in the Middle East war with Israel might have something to do with the damaged timeline. I will test that theory and get back to you. Please pray that we discover the reason why there is no apparent future after 2564.
Wait, can you read the last, go back to the theory he's going to test?
The reason I'm here now is because I believe a nuclear weapon set off by Iraq in the Middle East war with Israel might have something to do with the damaged timeline. I will test that theory and get back to you. Please pray that we discover the reason why there is no apparent future after 2564. Now,
well, in order for him to figure out, I'm just trying to think about this. In order for him to figure out if that is the actual cause, you'd have to go back prior to him sending that fax and then go back into the future, right? Or that's to the original.
He's already so this is 1998. He thinks that the year 2000 is when things go bad. So that would mean that he would have to time travel ahead to that point when he thinks this is going to take place. And then in order to, he could go back to, this moment in time and theoretically continue to have conversations with people.
Okay.
All right. So then there is a second fax, and it's not quite as long, but there is a little bit more information. And what's really interesting about John Titor's story is that he includes, along with his posts and his faxes, photographic evidence of his time machine. Even more importantly, he provides schematics. And throughout his communications on these message boards, he has debates with actual physicists and scientists who are skeptical about his claims. And he does a pretty damn good job of holding his own. And
really,
yeah, it's fascinating. So
I just think it's hilarious. A guy from the future comes back and puts his first messages out using a fax machine.
Yeah, it is funny. It is funny. And I'll be the first to tell you that Art Bell had a history of, people with wild stories, telling them that they were doing, this or that. I mean, to be quite honest with you, it's not all that different from the timeline we're living in right now. People are always coming up with wild stories and saying that, they're someone special or they're like some whistleblower. There was, I remember this guy that did a series of interviews, and, he would talk about a lot of things that perhaps we've talked about, but say that he had some special knowledge or something like that. It's just, this is the way it is. People are clout hungry. But
there was a few names dropped in the chat when you first mentioned them. Like, oh, hey, that sounds like so-and-so. I won't say it, but
okay. Well,
you're spot on.
The one thing about John Titor is that he never came forward. He never capitalized on this. Okay.
That's good. He's not selling gold pyramid scheme thing.
No, he's not selling gold. He's not selling pyramid
Trump
schemes.
Bucks.
Not selling Trump bucks. Not selling bobbleheads or anything like that. I mean, John Titor, all he did was communicate with people and then disappear. And that's why this has been so enduring a legend.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the second fax, this was also sent to Art Bell in 1998. He has a little bit more information and a little bit more detail as well. Now, here's the thing, because it was a fax, and I'm not certain whether it came from the same fax number, if it came from a different fax number. We can't actually prove that this second John Titor fax came from the same person. And as far as I know, he wasn't okay. Yes. Yeah, he did not refer to himself as John Titor. He's just referring to himself as the time traveler from 2036. Okay, so in the second fax, he says, "Dear Mr. Bell, I'm glad you're back. I faxed this information to you the day before you left the air. I wanted to make sure it wasn't lost in the shuffle, so I'm sending a gift. If you've already seen this, please accept my apologies. If you choose to make this public, please do not publish the fax number. I had to fax when I heard the other time traveler calling in from the recent past time in 2500 AD. Let me explain, Mr. Bell. I sent a fax with this opening on July 29th, 1998. As I said then, I am a time traveler. I have been on this world line since April of this year, and I plan to leave soon. Typically, time travelers do not purposely affect the world lines they visit. However, this mission is unusually long, and I've grown attached to some of the people I've met here. Anyway, for my own reasons, I have decided to help this world line by sharing information about the future with a few people in the hope that it will help their future. I'm contacting you for the same reason. Unfortunately, there is no historical reference to your program in my world line. I believe you can change your future by creating one now." So basically, Art Bell's radio program doesn't exist in his timeline. "Some of the information presented on your program may be invaluable to upline researchers. I suggest you isolate the programs that concentrate on military technology and new physics theories. Transcribe these programs and put them someplace safe away from the box. I recommend someplace in the Midwest. I also urge you to reconsider your paranoia to the Russians. They are not preparing for war with the average U.S. citizen. They are preparing for war with the U.S. government. They will eventually save this country and the lives of millions of Americans." I like it, right? Spicy. "I realize my claims are a bit difficult to accept, so I will send the following once I know you have received this fax. A few pages from the operations manual of my time machine and a few colored photographs of my vehicle. Someone did put some of these schematics and pictures and such into a book. I have an electronic version of it. We'll look at it when it's appropriate. If you wish to contact me, I will be happy to share with you the nature of my time, the physics of time travel, and some of the events of your future. Please send a return package to," and then he gives him the fax number to send to. Now, 2 years later, in November of 2000, that's when somebody began using the John Titor identity under the name time travel _0. And that really is what kicked it off. So later on, he would continue to communicate with Art Bell on Coast to Coast. But in that very first post, this was on that Time Travel Institute board. In a thread titled Time Travel Paradoxes, he replied to somebody else and he just said, "Wow, Paul is right on the money. I was just about to give up hope of anyone knowing who Tipler or Kerr was on this timeline." And he's referring to, I believe, some people that maybe they're physicists or something like that. So let me actually show you here. This is an actual picture of his time travel device, and there is a schematic that goes along with it. And here we go. And there's a lot more too. So he's got the schematic over here, and he's got numbers indicating what's what. These two balls right here are the main singularity and the steering singularity.
That's his time machine.
This is the time machine, and he brought it back in like a 1967 Corvette. So like the time machine goes into whatever the vehicle is, and then you control it, and it brings you back to wherever you want to go.
When did the movie Back to the Future first?
I mean,
come
that
out?
was like the 80s, dude. So I'll totally jive with you there. I mean, the fact that it's in a sports car, definitely it's reminiscent of Back to the Future.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay.
Now, if it was in a DeLorean, that would just be too on the nose. So
Yeah.
I think a Corvette's maybe a little more believable.
Like, does this like plug into the vehicle somehow, or just has to be in the vehicle?
I'm pretty sure it's just got to be in the vehicle. You've got to have something to be in, and then this is attached to it. Maybe there is some sort of, wiring or something like that. But I mean, the apparatus for time travel is contained within this box. And there's also like internal schematics as well, which details some of the, I guess, the inner workings of how it's supposed to work. So
has anybody tried to replicate the box?
Oh, I'm sure there for a long time there people were actually, like pretty closely watching this and they were very into it. So let me actually pull up let me tell you a little bit about John. So gradually over the course of his postings, he told the world and this board and art that he was based out of Tampa, Florida. Kind of cool. The reason he was traveling through time and, the nature of his work, he was actually working for the government, and it was part of their time travel initiative. I think that it was ostensibly to stop the world from ending eventually. And throughout the course of his posts, he ended up detailing the extent of this project and the results of his findings from coming back in time. And the reason he was selected for this particular project had something to do with his paternal heritage, like something to do with his bloodline. His father's father had actually worked for IBM in the 1970s and had had been part of the team that created the IBM 5100. This was a very early model computer. And in the year 2036, they sent him back to 1975 so that he could obtain one of these IBM 5100s. And this IBM 5100 would help the future scientists in decoding a particular computer program that they needed to unravel. Now, the reason he stopped in 2000, part of it was because it was just his personal choice. He wanted to come back here probably because he knew people buy into this shit and not crypto. It's deep, Joan. But yes, no, I mean, believe me, crypto used to mean a lot to me. I just don't have the money to buy any right now. And I had crypto and then they screwed me, and now I'm past that point where I can get into it.
Well, hey, I just gotta say that's not true. You can get into it at any point. You're just salty. You're salty, and I get it.
I am salty, but I mean, I'm also trying to pay off my house as soon as possible. So do you remember a couple of weeks ago, somebody was like, you just do the biweekly payments and then you end up paying your house off soon? I think it was PJ who mentioned it in the chat. Anyways, I set that up. So instead of paying one payment every month, I'm now paying half a payment every 2 weeks, which at the end of the year gives me an extra payment. So I'm making 13 total mortgage payments every year. And I previously had like an escrow shortage, and my taxes went sky high because they didn't raise them the first year. And so then they dropped back down again. So I took the extra amount that I was paying every month on my mortgage payment from last year, and I didn't have to keep paying that, but I told them to keep taking that out of my account and apply that directly to the principal. Nice. So now I'm making a lot more than just one additional payment per year, because I had already budgeted for my mortgage payment for the last year. And I could have just said, oh, hey, I'm just going to save a bunch of money every month. But I mean, I've already mentally prepared to pay that. And I'm just taking that extra, putting it towards the principal. And I'm going to cut at least 15 years off of my 30-year mortgage by doing that.
That's awesome. I'm overpaying my payment a little bit every month. I should do the bi-weekly though. That's so I mean, just doing the bi-weekly, I mean, that was 7 years or something like that. And then by just continuing to pay the extra on the principal, that's like another 7 years. So anyways, I'm taking 15 years off my mortgage, and I'm going to save a ton of money. Like, I hate the idea of paying them like 2 and 3 times
the actual amount that I was, thinking I was paying when I bought the house.
Yeah.
Like the way that they have interest set up, it's totally to screw you.
It's criminal.
Yeah. Oh, John B. Wells. Thank you, Nana. Yes. Caravan to Midnight, John B. Wells. Yeah. He's basically the, and no, okay. You know what? He had something to do with Coast to Coast, but maybe George Noory is the host of Coast to Coast now. Is George Noory the host of Coast to Coast, you guys?
I'm totally lost. What are we talking about?
I was trying to remember who's hosting. So Art Bell's Coast to Coast AM, that was like the show for a long time. And then I for some reason I thought that John B. Wells took it over, but maybe he's just doing his own show. Okay. And then George Noory, I guess, does do it now. So Wild Boar, you want to message me about that? Because I don't know what that means. An amortization schedule? I don't know. Anyways, okay. So he stopped here in 2000 just to do some family stuff. He wanted to get some photographs. He wanted to speak to family members. And he also wanted to give a warning to the people of Earth. But he actually needed to get one of these IBM 5100s. And if you want to see what an IBM 5100 looks like, this is it right here. It's just like a super old computer. Look at that tiny little monitor. And it runs on like magnetic tape drives.
That's crazy.
Yeah, definitely pretty crazy. So he came to get one of these, and while he was here, he told a bunch of stories. He told about the Second Civil War in the United States.
Wait. He came to get one of those computers?
He came to get one of those computers because his great-grandfather was on the team that actually designed it. And I guess that allegedly, they said that he would be able to come back here, and because of his familial history, he would have a greater chance of picking one up. And he didn't need to come to 2000 or to 1998, but he came here. He was here for a while. He wanted to experience life before the fracturing of the United States, before the great Y2K disaster, before a second civil war would wreck the United States. When his time, go ahead.
He came back to get that computer, but wouldn't his family member have been dead by the time he took it back to the future?
Well, yeah, I mean, like they were going to die anyways, though. Like the past already is the past. Like he was taking it back to give to scientists in his timeline so that they could use it to make their present better. They weren't trying to avoid, anybody's death or the Second Civil War or anything like that. I mean, that's going to happen.
No, so the guy who came here on a time machine needed that computer for something in the future. I know, it strains credulity. I'm not even asking you to believe it. This is just the story that he told. Oh, okay.
So I can't verify any of it. A lot of people, think that John Titor was legit. A lot of people don't think John Titor was legit. But we'll talk about some more of the predictions, and some of them were, closer than others. But so here's the deal with the Second Civil War. When the United States broke out into a second civil war, it fractured the country into 5 autonomous regions, and you had Washington, D.C. and Jacksonville, Florida, being targeted and then taken out by the enemy, which left Omaha, Nebraska as the new U.S. capital. And the Civil War waged for a long time. It began in 2004, and then it ended in 2015. And towards the end, it actually drew in a large portion of the world. There was basically a third world war. And that ultimate third world war would lead to the destruction of global infrastructure and the global environment. And he had mentioned that Russia was basically in a nuclear winter, and it was hell on earth. So while he was here, he also warned the people that he was speaking with on the message boards about Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is mad cow, basically. Wait, hold on just a second. Let me actually make sure that I'm not misremembering that. Hold on. If this is a prion disease, then yes. A subacute spongiform encephalopathy, or neurocognitive disorder due to prion disease. It's a fatal neurodegenerative disease.
Is that what Biden has, you think?
Well, I mean, I don't know if he specifically has Creutzfeldt-Jakob or if he just has another prion-related disease, because the vaccines, they're going to create like, malformed prions in the body. Alzheimer's is a prion disease as well. So, I mean, he's definitely on the spectrum, so to speak. So he warned people about Creutzfeldt-Jakob. And this was actually before mad cow disease started spreading through beef, but that's one of his predictions that was eerily reminiscent of something that actually happened. And other people had predictions about the future, and he kind of, interacted with them on the message board. He confirmed one theory. There's something called the Everett-Wheeler model of quantum physics, which is also known as the many worlds theory. And he said to people on the message board that this is the correct explanation of the universe. Now, even if it's not, I mean, confirming that to people confirms his own story about what he was doing and the way that time travel worked. But, according to him, there are multiple timelines, multiple scenarios that can play out. And if you are living in a multiverse, so to speak, then, everything that could have happened on one of these timelines in the past. And the same is true of the future. Every single decision that people make, you can say, in this show, John, I tell you that I hate you and I don't want to be part of Badlands anymore. And then this is the last show I ever do. And then in the reality that we're living in, I say, John, thank you so much for being a benevolent ruler. And then I just continue on hosting this program with you. And I'm just kidding.
How dare you?
So you get the idea, though, right? I mean, people make different decisions and it branches out and it creates alternate universes. So at a certain point, though, obviously people started questioning his stories, because I mean, obviously he can only go on for so long. And then he ended up leaving in late March, early of 2001. Okay.
Can we summarize this up real quick? Because I know we're getting more people into the show. And I just this is more so for myself even. So this guy sends a fax, claims to be from the future.
Yes.
Says all this stuff, sends another fax later to confirm it.
Very shortly thereafter. Yeah. And
all
then
this information you've discussed so far has just been in the two fax machines, or is
no,
this
no,
from
no,
other
no,
interactions?
No, this is from when he goes on that message board, the time travel paradox message board. And he starts having interactions with people there. People are questioning him. He makes predictions about the future. And then in March of 2001, he ended up leaving. And
how long? So he was active from
1998. Faxes began in 1998. In 2000, he starts posting on the message board. And then in March of 2001, he posts his final message and he leaves. So let's go through his predictions. Okay. So first of all, he predicted a nuclear war. He predicted civil war here in the United States.
Sorry to keep interrupting. I'm probably gonna do a lot because I have lots of questions as we go through.
Terrible.
Did he put any time frame on any of these?
He did, yeah.
Or he just civil war eventually?
He said a world. Okay, so the Civil War began in 2005. Unrest starts in 2004. The Civil War begins in 2005, and that waged on until a worldwide nuclear war took place in 2015. And in 2015, nearly 3 billion people were supposed to have died.
So he nailed that one.
Yes. Now, and don't forget, he also said that in Y2K, there was some kind of power outage and everything was terrible. And there was a cold snap, ice age or something like that. And he also had a prediction about the Olympics. So he said, while the 2008 Olympics were held in Beijing, China, they actually were held in Beijing, China. So during the lead up to the Olympics, he said that Tibetan protests would spread out through Chinese provinces with calls for independence and the return of the Dalai Lama. There would also be boycotts all around the world. And if there were interference in the Olympics, then it would cause, mass unrest. He didn't specifically state that the 2008 Olympics would be it, but he said it would be after 2004, and no Olympics were going to take place after 2004 because of the Civil War that would rage on, and that due to all of the civil wars, it wouldn't be basically the Olympics would stop. But obviously that didn't happen. Okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about the IBM 5100, this computer, the reason that he had to come back. He claimed that this IBM 5100 was laden with secret functions, unknown functions, and would lead to breakthroughs in high energy physics. Okay.
Like what, did it have like a calculator?
I mean, essentially, yes. I mean, it certainly wasn't even that powerful, really. But so the IBM 5100, it was a portable computer. I mean, you saw it. I mean, like that thing you would need a big desk to set it on there, but it was considered a portable computer. But John Titor said that it had these hidden functionalities, and these functionalities, although plenty of people owned them, they would be unknown to the average consumer. And he claimed that these hidden functionalities would be used to make these breakthroughs in high energy physics and would point to CERN. And if you'll remember, back in 2013, CERN announced the discovery of the Higgs boson particle, and that it would be because of CERN that we would discover the ability to travel through time. That hasn't happened yet either. He did predict a overheating space plane. On February 13th of 2001, he asked the question, can you care to share with me how you solved the overheating problem on your space plane? Now, we don't even have space planes, okay? I mean, like, there's the shuttles, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he was asked, what space plane? What are you referring to? A lot of people took it to mean that this comment was an allusion to the Columbia shuttle disaster, which did happen in 2003. And that occurred because there was a piece of foam that struck the shuttle's left wing during takeoff. And then during re-entry, it superheated air, breached the damaged wing. That led to the disintegration of the shuttle. And, technically that is an overheating problem. But interestingly enough, because of the Columbia disaster, I mean, NASA basically put the space shuttle program on hold for like 10 years, basically. And now it's definitely not called a space plane, but that is the direction that they seem to be moving in. Like, you think about the X-37B, it's not a space shuttle. It is smaller. It's closer in size to a space plane, but all right. He also, people asked him what future technologies would be developed. And he said that hydrogen fuel cells would be coming, and that more efficient solar cells were a pretty big deal. And also computer technology and software would get much better. All of those actually happened. Okay. Like, they have made consistent adaptations and advances in solar panels. Hydrogen fuel cells are a reality. Obviously, computers, software, all of that stuff is a lot better.
But like something like that,
I mean, it seems like anybody could have predicted that, right?
Yeah, that's not like that's what technology is. It's supposed to make things better, and it's supposed to continually advance.
Certainly. So what else? Someone had asked him, what do you like to do for fun? And he said, this isn't much of a prediction, but for fun, I enjoy swimming, playing cards, reading, playing games on the internet, and talking with people who live in other countries. As
water in the future, swim in the future.
I guess. Wow. I mean, he's in a very special timeline. As a community, we celebrate much more and have bonfires and dances. My hobby is sorting through old magazines and videos of life before the war. And he did write about the future of the internet, which remarkably survived through civil war and thermonuclear war. And he said that the internet is still alive and well in the future. People spend more time talking because life is more centered on community. I've noticed the same type of effect here when the power goes off. So I suppose that's one thing to look forward to in the future. We spend more time with the people we love rather than keeping our nose buried in our phones.
And if the internet's still alive there, that means Bitcoin is still alive there. So Everybody who said, what if the power goes out and we lose the internet?
Yep.
Debunked. You're fine. Get your Bitcoin.
He had said in one of his original faxes to Art Bell that time travel was invented in 2034. And he said that with these offshoots of certain successful fusion reactor research, the scientists at CERN would produce that first contained singularity engine. And the basic design involves those rotating singularities inside a magnetic field that was kind of demonstrated in his time travel device that he showed off. He had the singularity, the main singularity, and then the other singularity. Interestingly enough, like he never showed a video of it working or anything like that. That would have been like the chef's kiss, right? If he could have just showed it working, like let's step into the CERN black hole or whatever.
Let's step into my Corvette. Wasn't that what he was?
Yes, he had a Corvette. Yeah. Hang on just a second. I had like a long list of questions that people had asked him. Okay, so during all of these conversations he had with people, he basically answered pretty much every question that anybody ever posed to him. There was like a 4-month period where he was like perpetually online. And there was a lot of kind of like it for him, it was like a continuous conversation. But because he was like always online, always answering questions, a lot of what he said was kind of overlooked because people, weren't following it that closely. But there was seems that he made some allusion to 9/11. His posts happened before 9/11. Obviously, he made that statement about the space plane overheating. That was before the accident with the Discovery. Also, he was talking about war in the Middle East. This was before the Second Gulf War, before we went into Iraq and Afghanistan. So I did find that kind of interesting that he discussed war with Iraq before there was really war with Iraq. Although we had the first Gulf War and there was limited engagement with the Iraqis. And his predictions about the future of physics kind of track. I'm not.
What is kind of
track?
tracking?
Well, I mean, he was talking about CERN before anybody was talking about CERN. Okay. And there were discoveries, and there have been discoveries that have been made at CERN. Take it for what it is. I mean, like a lot of people think that, CERN has been developed for some pretty nefarious stuff. I mean, would it surprise you if they were working on figuring out time travel through their work at CERN? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
No, it wouldn't surprise me either. But I'm curious if they were discussing building something like CERN, like in the 90s. They must have been.
Oh, I mean, there was other colliders that they were working on. I mean, they had smaller ones, and the build up to the creation of CERN definitely, was something that had been discussed for a while. He did give us operating instructions for his gravity distortion time displacement unit. And it's dated March 21st of 2034. It's got a couple of revision dates on there that I can't quite read. And it's labeled restricted with a file name. And obviously that means nothing to us because this is from the future, but the C204 gravity distortion time displacement unit. This has been photocopied many, many times. So the pictures are kind of degraded at this point. But this was that original picture that I showed you that he sent to Art Bell. I don't even know how to interpret this, but this is a C204 Tipler sinusoid field. So there is some explanation of the exact mechanics of time travel here. Don't really, it's above my pay grade, and I don't know if there is anybody out there who's a physicist or understands this stuff. I know we've got a couple of autists out there in the audience that may have looked into this and perhaps can tell us about it. And then this is some more of the internal schematics of it. Really don't know what to say. This is the external picture that we showed earlier. This is a complicated 3D rendering of the major systems. And I mean, this is pretty pretty developed, I would say, for just some random internet troll. And let's just speculate here for a moment, like what he said about the way time travel works. You know, he came from a timeline to come back to our timeline, which is a different timeline. So theoretically, the predictions that he made took place in his timeline. And perhaps, you know, his very presence here set off a chain reaction of events which prevented these horrific things from even taking place.
I mean, everything you've shown and said so far, yes, that could be a way to explain why some of his predictions didn't come right. But also, like this right here, if the guy you said did have a working knowledge of physics stuff, like maybe he's an engineer, I would venture to guess any engineer could design something like this and call it like you just throw this thing into on a paper, call it a time travel machine, and whammo. I mean, if I was an artist, I could probably draw something like this.
Yeah. So
was that a picture of the thing?
This is the unit inside of his Corvette. Yes.
What the hell?
This is a picture taken in the fall of 2035 during my training. It shows my instructor beaming a handheld laser outside the vehicle during operation. The beam is being bent by the gravitational field produced outside the vehicle by the distortion unit. The beam is visible through smoke that is coming from his cigar. So, you know, maybe that's actually like a fiber optic cable, and the laser is beaming through the fiber optic, and that's how he's bending the light. But again, it's such a low quality image. I mean,
is there any other explanation for that though?
I mean, sure. I mean, could it have been digitally created? You know, maybe. I mean, this was 1998 when he sent this stuff to Arbel, proving who he was and what he had.
Maybe that's why he wanted the IBM computer, so he could digitally create those images.
Could be. I mean, it's a complicated hoax, is all I'm saying. And again, I'm not saying that I believe John Titor was a legit time traveler, but it's a fun story.
Yeah.
Okay. You know. And okay, so here is more pictures from inside his vehicle. Let's see. Better photo of the time travel device.
Looks like the same photo.
Well, yes. And then there it is again. There's another close-up. This is the same model of computer that John took back to the future, IBM 5100, type 5110.
Man.
Slightly different from the other one that we saw. This is a 5110. It's in the same like model category, but the other one that we saw, it was self-contained. It had the tiny little screen. This one is closer to like, you know, like an Apple, like LC2 or something like that, with the larger screen. Looks like this is more like a floppy drive rather than the magnetic tape drive, but
toaster oven maybe on the front.
They probably have like the same motherboard and stuff like that. Oh, hey, okay. Salt Muncher ODA says, this video perfectly explains his time travel mechanism. Just play it. It's 2 minutes to watch.
Okay, I'll pull it up here.
Yeah, you go ahead and do that. And then here we have a form from Nationwide Insurance, somehow related to the John Titor story. Now, obviously, I can't read that either.
Here, I got this video. Ready?
Yeah.
Oh.
I keep trying to remove it. I'll stop.
Okay.
Here at Rockwell Automation's world headquarters, research has been proceeding to develop a line of automation products that establishes new standards for quality, technological leadership, and operating excellence. With customer success as our primary focus, work has been proceeding on the crudely conceived idea of an instrument that would not only provide inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal gram meters. Such an instrument, comprised of Dodge gears and bearings, Reliance electric motors, Allen Bradley controls, and all monitored by Rockwell software, is Rockwell Automation's Retro Encabulator. Now, basically, the only new principle involved is that instead of power being generated by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes, it's produced by the modial interaction of magnetoreluctance and capacitive diractance. The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the two spurving bearings were in a direct line with a panometric fam. The lineup consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic Marsal vanes, so fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented.
This is
the main winding was of the normal Lotus-O deltoid type placed in panendermic semi-boloid slots of the stator. Every 7th conductor being connected by a non-reversible Tremi pipe to the differential girdle spring on the up end of the grand meters.
It took me a second to figure out that
I know
much was being sarcastic, but now that I realize he was, or she was,
that's funny.
That's hilarious. We gotta finish. We're only 20.
Yeah, it's fine. I think it's funny.
Moreover, whenever fluorescent score motion is required, it may also be employed in conjunction with a drawn reciprocation dingle arm to reduce sinusoidal depleneration. The retroencabulator has now reached a high level of development, and it's being successfully used in the operation of Milford trunnions. It's available soon wherever Rockwell Automation products are sold.
It's so funny.
I love it. I love it. All right. So this is something actually that is compelling about John Titor's story, the IBM 5100. So John Titor said that the IBM 5100 contained like some hidden aspect to it, something that people hadn't figured out yet that was necessary for him and his timeline to be able to do their job. Okay. Whatever it was. But 1975 is when the 5100 came out. It was the very first mass-produced portable computer. And it was pretty futuristic for its time. It had that tiny little integrated 5-inch CRT monitor. That's like the tube, you know, like your big TV that you had sitting on your floor when you were a kid, or maybe you were too young to have one of those sitting
Probably
on the
a little too young.
Yeah, yeah. But a CRT, a cathode ray tube. And it had up to 64 kilobytes of RAM. Okay. Like my computer has 128 gigabytes of RAM. And that's obviously a lot more, hell of a lot more RAM. You can do a lot more with that much RAM. And because of its abilities at the time, it could run programs that were meant for much larger, much more expensive computers. And it was essentially considered a computer that fit into a briefcase. Of course, that briefcase was the size of, you know, a carry-on bag, maybe larger, but it was pretty revolutionary. So this was extraordinarily close to becoming the world's very first personal computer. And just a few months later, it was overtaken by another computer you've probably never heard of called the Altair 8800. But this is where the compelling aspect comes in, because just as John Titor said in 2000, it truly did contain a hidden feature that up until he mentioned it was completely undiscovered and completely unknown to the general public. So it wasn't until the year 2000, 25 years later, that John Titor returned, told the world this, and it was actually discovered. So in a larger sense, John Titor was not alone in his mission. In 2036, he belonged to a team of 7 individuals that were all selected from the Army to go on this journey through time. And at that point, you know, he had already lived through the Civil War. Society had collapsed. They had kind of rebuilt. It was like a time of unimaginable horrors. And so the idea of going back in time rather than having to live through that was much more agreeable. Go ahead.
Isn't this the plot to? There's a Netflix series about this. Travelers or something. They come back from the future trying to change the timeline and stop the end of the world. I just realized.
I mean, I feel like that's also the plot to Terminator 2. So,
yeah.
I mean, this is kind of generally like, you know, the wish list for time travelers. You can come back, change the past to change the future.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Anyway.
So the reason that they needed this like unsophisticated level of technology is because of the world being destroyed, infrastructure being wiped out. People had lost a certain amount of their technology. I mean, think about like, civilization resets that may have happened in our past. And, if there is a cataclysm or something like that, what happens if all the engineers die? What happens if the people who know how to produce a computer or a cell phone, if they're no longer here? I mean, if I consider myself to be fairly intelligent. If I found the instructions on how to produce, silicon chips, I don't know that I'd be able to do it, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to.
No, I don't think we'd be kind of screwed. So we'd essentially be back to the Stone Age. So this is another thing that is true is the idea of a Unix timeout error in 2038. This has something to do with the way that Unix programming was written. I have seen this talked about before. And because of this looming timeout that was supposed to take place in 2 years into the future, they needed this IBM 5100 because it had the ability to debug and emulate code between a variety of different programming languages. And it would be like essential basically for them to be able to continue on and to keep their technological architecture of the old world alive. So that was necessary, but in 2036, it wasn't very likely that you're going to come across one of these IBM 5100s. So that's why he was sent back to 1975. The time machine was apparently kind of rudimentary because, again, they didn't have access to sophisticated level of technology. That might be why it looked so kind of bare bones and funny and why they had to put it into a Corvette. But they went back to 75 to get that IBM 5100. So in order to do that, he traveled back. He met with his great grandfather. And as a result of him telling this story, this is how people discovered that the IBM 5100 actually did contain this hidden functionality that was not known to the general public. Now, at this point, computers back in 1975, when the 5100 was built, most computers only supported BASIC, which was a computer programming language that was, ubiquitous. But the 5100 had the ability to emulate programs not only in BASIC, but also with the APL System 370. This is a system that refers to IBM mainframes. So as I said earlier, because it had the capabilities of a much more powerful, much larger computer, it was, pretty revolutionary. So this function was hidden because IBM had worries about how the competition might use it if they got their hands on it. But they baked it in just in case they needed it. This is verifiably correct. And it begs the question, how did this guy know this? Now, let's say maybe his great-grandfather or grandfather, whoever it might have been, was actually involved in the creation of the IBM 5100. And he went online and he made up this grandiose story, claimed to be a time traveler, and basically dropped this now essentially useless piece of information onto the world. Maybe. Or maybe he was a time traveler and, he actually did come back here and get it. But what is the Unix timeout error of 2038? This is a serious problem. And in 2036, they were hoping to reverse engineer a debug code, essentially, to prevent this technological apocalypse. And by using this IBM 5100, they would be able to do it.
Because of the language, the coding language?
Yes, because it had this IBM mainframe coding language that it could emulate on that little computer.
But I'm just thinking from the future, though, if they could create that in the 70s or whatever it was, how could they not create that same emulator in the future?
Because they had lost all that technology. There was a thermonuclear war. There was a civil war in the United States. There was a global nuclear war in 2015. And when it ended, lots of pieces of technology had just been wiped out. And the people that had the knowledge and the intelligence to reproduce them were wiped out largely as well.
But they had the technology for time travel, but just not something from a 1970s computer.
Isn't that the way?
Coding language.
An
emulator. Like what?
Yes. That's it. So, I mean, I'm not telling you to believe it, John. I'm just saying that this is his story.
I don't believe it. So if you can't tell.
Oh God. Okay, so the Unix timeout thing, that's actually real. This has something to do with the way that computers count time in their systems, and they count not by actual dates, like months, days, or years like we do, but they count in seconds. So the problem is that computers have a limit to how high they can count. So when they reach that limit, they're anticipating that certain problems may occur. Now, they may have already fixed this as far as, this article being written about this. But in 2038, that's supposed to be the point at which the computers are going to time out. January 19th of 2038. And this was related to 32-bit programming. Now we're on to 64-bit programming. So maybe they've pushed it out another couple of decades. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't heard about this being a problem. This is similar to the same problem that they said was going to occur in with Y2K, right? That the computers were not programmed to count past 1999. Nobody thought we would be around or something like that. I don't know. But obviously they did it just fine and everybody was okay. Yeah. Now, we won't know if there's going to be any major issues with software or programs. I tend to believe that there won't be. But I know that there's going to be people who will be waiting around for January 19th of 2038 to see if it happens.
I guess it depends what computers or how many computers CrowdStrike gets their hands on.
Hang on.
What was that?
There we go.
Oh, that would have been cool if it was.
I know if it was on time. Sorry, I had to cycle through. I
forgot I have those things too. I did one time when I first figured out how to do that after I updated my computer and everything, and it changed my voice, and I didn't know how to change it back. I had to restart everything. So I'm not gonna mess up like that.
Like this?
Yeah, but I'm worried I won't be able to change it back.
Well, you just hit the button,
and it changes it back.
Yeah, you just hit the button and it goes back.
And you can hit another one, and it will change it to something totally different.
Did I hit that?
No, that was me. I definitely did that.
Okay, that was me, though.
That was you. Ooh.
Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to... Yeah, I have no idea which button it is.
What about this one? That's a small robot.
Can you do that one?
Does this change my voice?
Ooh. Yes, it works. It works really well.
Testing. Okay.
What about this one?
Yeah. Sounds like you're in an echo.
I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm...
I had to load that one in myself.
Yeah, because I don't have that one. So I'm not a racist or anything.
Oh, there's nothing wrong. You got to own your melanin, John.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
You need some. I'm feeling pale myself. Actually, my feet are darkest. Yeah, I feel pale. I feel like I'm not dark enough. I haven't hardly been outside. My feet though, because I wear sandals down here. So every time I go outside, my feet are just getting cooked.
Yeah, back up a little bit and stand next to the dark wood paneling on your wall. You would disappear if you weren't wearing that shirt. You're dark as hell, man. Anyway,
right. I don't know
why we did that. The last 3 minutes of this has been ridiculous. Okay, let's keep going. And
so
then we'll get to the rants and stuff.
This is a book based upon John Titor's story. John Titor, A Time Traveler's Tale. And it has in here a letter from John's mother. Which is kind of interesting. Listen to this. So in January of 2003, which is 2 years after John Titor allegedly went back to the future, a young couple and their 5-year-old son entered my law office in Nebraska. They claimed to be the parents of John Titor, a time traveler from the future. Although I've reserved final judgment of their claims, their story and the evidence they presented was quite convincing. They told me a tale about a man who used a time machine to travel from 2036 to 1975 and then to 1998, where they first met. For a period of nearly 3 years, this man, claiming to be their young son as an adult, stayed with them in their home. For reasons that are still not clear, in 2000, he borrowed his father's computer and began posting on the internet about who he was and why he was there. This book is a compilation of those internet posts he left online. He started in November of 2000, right before the presidential election. After nearly 5 months speaking with people online, he left our time and returned to his home in 2036. When his parents approached me and presented the pictures, documents, notes, and copies of his original posts, they wanted closure. For reasons I cannot explain, they were anxious to leave Florida and rid themselves of the ties to this man who claimed to be their son from 2036. Today, you can still go online and read John Titor's original posts. There are thousands of websites where John Titor is discussed, and the original people he spoke with are still online. I want to give a special thanks to those sites that helped gather and prepare these posts. In this compilation, the original questions and comments have been summarized and are in bold lettering. The paragraph breaks in John's comments represent multiple questions that were eliminated, but explained in John's thought process. As you read, you may notice slight emotional shifts between the paragraph breaks that capture John's state while answering the questions. Now, here is the letter from his mother. This is interesting. So John himself would have been born in 1998. So John, he would be just a couple of years younger than you right now. John Titor, our timeline John Titor may actually be watching this program right now. I mean, he would essentially be a young adult.
That's interesting to think about.
It is interesting. And I would love it. I would love it if John Titor would send an email after this show is done. Like, how cool would that be? And then we can maybe get some, corroborating details from him.
John, if you're watching this, when you get to the future, what I want you to do is go back in time to, I think it's 2013 or 14, buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin, come back to this time in the future, donate it to Badlands. So
Thank you.
Take over the media landscape.
Yes, because you are not going to need it in 2036.
No. Well,
all right. So this is the letter from his mother.
Maybe.
As I write, I can see the movers taking our furniture off the truck. It's parked halfway in the driveway in front of our new home. The larger furniture is coming out now. There's the couch, our living room chairs, and a box of dishes. It reminds me of the last time we moved in 1999 to escape the coming of Y2K, but that was in Florida, a whole world away. Back then, life seemed more predictable. My husband had a new job. We had a small home on a lake, and our son was born. The first time I heard about Y2K was watching a news program on a quiet Sunday night. I paid little attention to the year 2000 computer program until April 27th, 1998, the day we met John Titor. He called first, came to our house, and just knocked on the front door. Then, in the doorway, stood a man who claimed to be from the future. Not just any man. He claimed to be my son, aged 38, a time traveler from the year 2036. From that day until March 2001, John Titor stayed with us in our home. He told us he had made a promise to my husband's father in 1975 that involved preparing us for Y2K. On January 1st, 2000, the world did not end as John said it would. Strangely, this did not seem to surprise him, and instead, this seemed to be a burden as a deep sense of sadness overtook him. For reasons that are still not clear to me, John decided to go on the internet and write about who he was and why he was there. During the entire time he was online, I had the feeling he was attempting to start or finish something beyond just being online. If John was trying to get some other message out, I hope this book will help further those ends. For me and my husband and our young son, it is over. So what really fascinates me is the idea that maybe this couple and this child that they had together actually witnessed this. Like some guy shows up at their door, calls them and says, "I'm your son from the future." What would you do, John, if like someone came to your front door and said, "I am Johnny, okay, from the future. I've come back, Dad, because I've got some important message that I've got to bring you." And, I mean, you'd be looking for birthmarks or something, right? I mean, like something to correlate this man standing in front of you to the boy that's in his bedroom playing with Legos, right? But just
I'd tell him to leave and be like, no soliciting or something.
You wouldn't. Are you serious? You wouldn't even entertain it just for a
No,
moment?
probably not.
I'm utterly uncurious.
Because I just don't. I mean, you would have to show up and within a matter of seconds show me some proof, because I'm very skeptical. And I feel like my son would know that. And so he would show up with like something to prove it to me immediately. Otherwise, no loitering, bro. Get out of here.
So what I want you to do,
Get off my lawn.
I want you to sit down with your boy and I want you to tell him whatever you need him to know, so that if he comes back from the future, he can prove his identity to you. Something only that you and he have.
Okay.
Okay. And don't tell me, don't tell anybody, but I just want you to promise me that you're going to do it, because if it happens, like, dude, I'm going to shit my pants.
You have to remind me. You have to remind me, and because I can't do it. My son can't keep a secret. Like, no matter what if I tell him, like one time I was like just joking around, gave him my phone password, like just so he could play a game or something on there. But I was like, you can't tell that to anybody. You can't tell that to anybody. And like the second we get to my grandparents' house, he's like, my dad's password is this. And like, tell them. So like, he's not there yet. But in a couple of years, when I can trust him, I will explain this concept to him and be like, if you ever come back in time, this is what you do.
How about in the meantime? Because I mean, this is just sweet. Like, because if something happens to you, then he'll be able to open it later. You write him a heartfelt letter, okay? And you tell him how much he means to you, how much you love him, you know, everything that, you know, you can't tell him now that he's a little boy, that you want him to know when he's an adult. That maybe because you're going to get older, you might forget about, or it might just not occur to you later on. But whatever it's important to you right now, put it on paper, put it in an envelope, seal it up, something like sealed in duct tape so that he can't open it without you knowing. All right. And then you give it to him and you say, if you ever travel back in time to give me an important message, then you go ahead and bring this with you and you show it to me to prove that it's you. And otherwise, you just wait until I'm gone and then you open it.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna have to do it with my daughter too.
Sweet. Yes. Well, of course, with your daughter too. Yeah.
Know what I'll do is I will get them very unique tattoos on like the bottom of their feet.
Serial numbers.
No, that a barcode. I'll do a QR code on the bottom of their feet.
Code. No, not a QR code, because it'll fade over time. Tattoos do not stay perfect.
Okay. Well, then I need to think of something, but something like that, some unique code.
Yeah.
Or website or something that's okay. Here we go. One foot is a website, the other foot is the password, and it's login info to something. I'll figure it out, but something like that. I got this.
This is great. I love it. I love it. All right. So, anyways, you've got about 95 pages or so of writings, questions, answers. Here is a slightly better schematic from the inside of that time machine. I would just love to get my hands on this thing. Like, allegedly he was
better.
He was, well, a little bit better. He was supposed to come back, like, to give a video or something like that. Like, there was a website that was online for a long time. It was like it might have been, there is a johntitor.com. There's another one which is where I had the full schematic, the actual like user manual. It's no longer online, but this is an archive that I found of that. And there was supposed to be some video that was going to get sent back. Now, here's the other thing. There's actually a patent that's been filed for that time machine that was not filed until after John Titor like premiered it. And I'm going to actually show that to you right now. But this is the patent. It was patented in, that's the wrong button. It was patented in April of 2006. Right here.
What's with those shirts on the side?
Oh God. It's because I was looking at those the jackets.
Yeah.
United States patent application, and it gives a number, everything. Method of gravity distortion and time displacement.
Marlon Pullman
in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is like right where the new capital is supposed to be.
Wasn't it Omaha?
Oh, Nebraska, not Oklahoma. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Marlin.
A method for employing sinusoidal oscillations of electrical bombardment on the surface of one Kerr-type singularity in close proximity to a second Kerr-type singularity in such a method to take advantage of the Lenz-Thirring effect to stimulate the effect of 2-point masses of nearly identical orbits in a 2+1 dimensional anti-de Sitter space, resulting in creation of circular time-like geodesics forming to the Van Stockum under the Van der Broek modification of the Alcubierre geometry by Van Den Broek, 1999, permitting topology change from one space-like boundary to the other in accordance with Garrick's theorem, which results in a method for the formation of Gödel-type geodesically complete space-time envelopes, complete with closed time-like curves. So there is a science to what John was talking about. I don't understand it. This is completely outside of the realm of my understanding. But we have all of this stuff which describes the actual method by which this time travel device is supposed to work. And it has something to do with anti-gravity or something. Look at that. There's a bunch of formulas. I would love for somebody with an understanding of this stuff to take a look at it and tell me what they think. Is there anybody out there who is a theoretical physicist? Maybe you could send this over to Cliff High and see if he gets it.
I'm sure he's familiar with this already.
I'm certain.
This same guy has other patents. 3 of them. Let me share the screen real quick.
Yeah, let's see.
3 of them are this electronic messaging system and method thereof, which looks like some sort of marketing device. An advertiser may respond to the request by providing the sought after information by the way of service, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes and like he's basically, this is all a patent for a way for people to subscribe to spam, essentially. And then he goes into method of gravity distortion and time displacement, and then method and device for initiating a fusion reaction through isomer potentiated nuclear decay.
I'm actually going to text Ashton. Somebody said text Ashton or send it over to Ashton.
I don't know who Ashton is.
Oh, he's the MH370 guy. He's been doing the MH370.
Oh, yeah.
He's a good dude. I've had him on the show a couple times.
Interesting. All right, Matt. Let's sum it up, or put the bookends on this so we can get to the rants.
I think that I mean that's basically it. I mean, there is, he left just as mysteriously as he arrived. All we know is that he made some predictions. Some of them didn't pan out. Some of them were a little bit eerie. It's certainly compelling that there is a patent for the machine that he said came from 2036. There's so much more in terms of the question and answer sessions that he had with people, which people can go over on their own, and that's really it. I mean, John Titor may or may not be a total fraud, but he also may or may not be from the future, and perhaps something terrible is coming.
I think he, in my humble opinion, is a smart guy. Maybe worked at IBM. Maybe his uncle or whatever really did work at IBM, grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It is interesting that he didn't grift off it though. Like he didn't ask people for money. That's like one check mark in the positive side. But a lot of what I heard was like, there's no way that's real. But honestly,
Totally
that's how I react to most things. So
Mm-hmm.
don't take my word for it. I have no idea.
I will report back, you guys, with whatever Ashton says.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna. Oh, what's going on here? Trying to get to the boosts, but it's not loading right now. So we'll. Oh, here we go. Let's see if we got any boosts from this week. No boosts. All right. Well, we'll do the rants then. Hold for processing. Let me get these pulled up. And all right, everybody, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and also get your Guard Virtual tickets if you haven't yet. We always appreciate that. John W. Ryan IV. Let's see if I can rant. Usually only one in approximately 3 goes through. If you have an issue with ranting, guys, you got to clear your cache on your browser. You got to clear your cache to give some cash. That's what Rumble said. Vegas Deplorable 26. Looks like the left wants to jump the gun on the use of weird, so we can't use it on Camel Toe Harry. They are trying to hijack that. We cannot let them take that word from us. It's our word. Rambo and friends. Nice to see you, Rambo. Cheers, guys. Happy to catch y'all live. Nice to see you, buddy. Secrets says Y2K and nukes. and orbit of the Earth. This is lining up to be a stretch.
See, I knew that was going to turn people off right there.
Yeah. Steph Asia. So who was sending Titor on his mission that he mentioned?
His time travel unit in the military.
I did see a comment in there earlier. I don't remember who said it. B. Torgo, maybe, but it was something like, this isn't true because the Army sent him and not the air, or something about if it was the Air Force, maybe, but because it was the Army, it's not believable.
Well, at this point, there's already been a civil war. There's been a full-scale nuclear war. Who knows what is left of the military? Maybe the Air Force doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I just got completely lost at he had to go back in time to get that old computer so the coding language could be used in the future because they didn't have in the future, but they did have the time travel to get back to the past. Like that, you lost me there. There's no way that you'd still have time travel capabilities, but not have the ability to code language in a way that you need a 1970s IBM to do it. Like you lost me there, but it is an interesting story. Where are we at? Steph Asia says, so who is sending? Oh, I just read that one. Fatman 79, Biden's Corvette is the time machine.
Ooh.
I like that.
Yeah.
Badlands Media fan, Rebel 78, thank you for giving a background to time travel stories. Do you think Trump has time traveled? Guys, if you go to, let me show you how to do this because we've actually covered this. If you go to, our channel here, you click on Badlands Media. It'll take you to all of our shows. You click on playlists and then scroll down to Baseless Conspiracies. And we have a whole list of all the shows we've done with labels and everything. Jessica on our team keeps this for all of our shows. So you can go back and see we've done time travel before. We've done Trump and we've done all sorts of stuff. So if you're curious if we've done something or you want to see something we've done in the past, I would go to that playlist. Secrets, the Challenger. There's a basis for you. Most are alive. That was one of the ones we've done. We've done an episode on Challenger. Yeah. That was a while ago too.
Yeah, it was.
And that was a fun one.
I just gotta say, guys, if you haven't watched all of these shows, there's a rich back catalog to go through.
Yeah,
you really ought to. And we updated the titles, didn't we, John?
Yep, they're all in here.
Okay. Now,
so episode 31 was the Challenger explosion. That was a year ago.
And how long have we been doing this for now?
This is our 93rd episode.
Holy jeez.
So we're coming up on 100. And then in October will be the Badlands 2-year anniversary.
Wow. Very cool. This was the very first program that premiered the Badlands Media Network.
I think it was Monday, October 7th or 10th or something.
Wow.
Let me double check that. Oh, I can't get my calendar to work on my computer. So if only I had an IBM from 1970. Salmantra ODA. EH Kyle said, I saw a clear pic of Gimbal Man. It's a pic from a person that was in the bleachers behind Trump, and he was in it. Go to Kyle Just Human show this morning and timestamp 3633, and you'll find it. I don't know what any of that means.
So Gimbal Man was the guy that allegedly he was wearing a gimbal with a camera on it, shot at Trump, turned around, shot into the crowd, was grabbed by a Secret Service and shot by a Pennsylvania state trooper. They pulled him out of there. This is the thing that I talked about on Altered State, and then I premiered on my show. So Brad and I first mentioned it to Brad on the 24th. I premiered the pictures in a video for the first time on the 25th. And this weekend, Tori Says basically had put together videos from the day of, and you can see him moving around. I mean, which is not surprising because he was acting as a photographer. But there was a picture in there that looked like his face was bloodied. And I actually showed that today on my show. And I've shown a couple of clear pictures of Gimbal Man on those dates that I mentioned. So I don't know if Kyle had a different picture or if he had a picture that I've already shown.
And so he fired a gun?
Yep, that's the story. And the guy who took the video and who I got these pictures from, he was in the stands right behind President Trump. So he was like looking up at it as it happened. And he got video allegedly of this guy firing on President Trump and then firing into the crowd and then being killed by the Secret Service and the Pennsylvania State Trooper. And that video was given to James Comer and the House Oversight Committee for their investigation into the assassination. And I saw a text message conversation between the lead counsel for the House Oversight Committee and this gentleman. And I saw the phone number for the lead counsel. I know the guy's name. I've got his house.gov email address. So this was a legit communication, and that video hasn't come out yet because he gave it to the House Oversight Committee and they asked him not to share it because they want to be the ones who present it.
This is the timestamp that Salt Muncher said to go to.
Okay. Hang on. I'm trying to make the screen bigger for me. Yeah, I mean, I've already shown. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I've got other pictures that are.
Okay, I'll have to
that
check
show
out. You have to
him
send
more.
me.
Yeah.
Send me some stuff of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going here. We got Fox01 laughing, saying, Rockwell, oh my God, I needed that laugh. Dying over here. Thank you. That's after the link that Salt Muncher said to perfectly explain what we were talking about. It was real funny. 1027 JS, interesting but not believable to me. Thanks. Kind of with you there. Tin Man 1925 finally hit a live Badlands where the friggin' chat is actually working. Some folks have tied Titor to Trump. Some of it interesting for sure. Thanks for the show, dudes.
Didn't see anything tying him to Trump. I mean, other than, John Trump, Tesla time travel, that's already connected to President Trump. I didn't see anything specific with Titor to Trump, but if anybody has anything, I would be willing to look at it.
Smoke Agent says, color me shocked. The media hasn't mentioned there's a small child next to a half-naked man at the Olympics. There's a link. I'm probably not going to show it because of the half-naked man part, but that's probably the Last Supper thing. I'm assuming that whole Olympics crap was just super gay. Dave75 says, everything is fake and gay. Question everything. Mohap. Speaking of Mohap, where is Fredo?
He's probably working. He's been working a lot lately.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Mr. Fredo, since I know you're going to watch this after the fact, because you watch everything that we do, right, Fredo? Don't miss anymore. Anyway, that's all of them, bro.
Yeah.
Cool. Get your GART tickets, everybody. Hit the thumbs up. And other than that,
we should say that when you buy the virtual GART ticket, you also get exclusive access to a chat room that is only available to the people who are in that virtual theater, so to speak. So you get to talk to those people. You get to make, specific direct relationships with them. While we're on the panels, you're going to be able to ask questions and make commentary that one of us is going to be monitoring while we're on stage. We'll be taking questions directly from that virtual chat room and then bringing you in to include you. So even if you can't be there in person, you still get a level of interaction that you're not going to be able to get if you're just watching on Rumble.
and that chat group stays open for a while. Like,
yes.
I think the one from the last card is still going. And so, yeah, definitely encourage you guys to get that. We're going to be doing some exclusive live streams beforehand. We might even, and not even might, like we're probably going to live stream some of the golf that we do on Wednesday and Thursday, because I think me and Brian are doing some sort of competition.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that. Get your guard tickets. And John Ryan says, how do I clear my cache in the Android app? No idea.
Go to google.com
and ask there.
And search, how do I clear my cache on Android? It's going to be a cache in your browser, whatever browser you're using. You could probably go to your settings for that particular app, and there's going to be like a cache option. You're going to see that, and you're going to be able to hit clear through that.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Zach. Good show as always. That was fun. Everybody, we will see you next time.
We'll see you.